guys, and this is the week 2 video of Last 60, Best 60. And I wanted to welcome you. If it's your first video that you're watching, welcome. Our first week was all about pausing and reviewing our life, and it was a great way for me to just look through the last year's pictures, and I've yet to do a little bit more, but also places that I've been in the world, just making a big list and just kind of laying it out for me to just notice, like, where in the world have I been in the last year, in the last decade? What big financial purchases have I made? Which people in my life do I love and adore, and just was reminded of spending time with them. And really like an opportunity just to reconnect to me. So I think it's really important to review and just take some time and pause. And again, even if you just do that, so watch the first week video, download that worksheet, and even if you just did that, I think you could get a lot out of kind of connecting to yourself at this end of the year time and really just noticing, like, what do you want to focus on the rest of the year that you would feel would make ending 2019 feel strong, feel really authentic and true to you. Because sometimes we make the best effort at the beginning of the year and then we just get busy, or we have things come up, or we have emergencies or unexpected things that just really change your life. So I really honor that intention at the beginning of the year, and I like to gather the energy at the end of the year because I feel like it's just a really great opportunity to end the year strong. And the kind of people who do this, I think, are people who might want to be a little bit more intentional. And I do a little bit of review every week. On Sundays, I plan my week. I look back at the last week, see what I didn't get done or things that I need to follow up on, and then I really plan that into my next week. I like to do that at the beginning of every quarter, and then at the end of every month, I do a review, and kind of similar, like look back at what do I need to follow up on and what are some projects that I really need to make progress on. So that's me. And so if you are just trying to check in at the end of the year, I really think that's a great idea. So one of my favorite tools, and if you did this Last 60, Best 60 with me last year, know that I really love this Wheel of Life tool. I've used it for 20 years. I got to know about it and use it often with my women's group, and we would do this every end of the year, beginning of the year, and just score what is our level of satisfaction in each category of life. So I'll include this in the handouts, but if you're watching this and you just want to do your own, you can just do a circle with 6 lines that go through the center, and then from the center to the edge of the circle, that would be divided into 10 increments, and just mark what level of satisfaction do you feel in each of these areas. And it gives you a snapshot just of where you are with your life right now. And in fact, you'll notice that there's probably things that are pretty good and areas that you want to really gain some satisfaction in. So it's a very useful and easy tool. And I'm a trained high performance coach, and so there's actually a high performance planner that you can order, and I have so much stuff written in here because I use it a lot. But at the beginning of each planner is a whole life assessment, and Brendan Burchard developed this, and I can add some links to this kind of an assessment. It's very similar to this, but it has a little bit more description, and again, it's a 1 to 10 scoring, and easy to look at and sort of see what areas you want to improve on. Another tool that I will provide a link to is Lifebook, and it's a lot more in depth. So the first time I did Lifebook was in 2015, I believe, and it was a 4-day all-day workshop, and we went through every category of life and really looked at what is our philosophy, our strategy, our goals, our vision for that part of our life. So I do that twice a year, which I think for me like works because it's at the beginning of the year and my birthday is in July, so it's mid-year. Just kind of reconnects me to me, because the thing that I really want for everyone is just to be more connected to you, and just to fill your life with things that make you feel connected, satisfied, loved, joyful. And sometimes we're so busy, or we've taken on other people's ideas of success and happiness and purpose, that we kind of have lost and gotten disconnected to our own sense of that. So I think that's really important, to just keep reflecting on that. And I actually had an experience this past August where I reconnected to what brings me joy. So that was, and I do this work all the time. So it's always something that I'm open to being more aware of and connected to. And the reason why you'd want to even do this on your life, and I know it takes time. I always say it's not easy, but it's simple, and it does take time. But think about your life as your job. Like jobs have quarterly reviews, sometimes weekly reviews, and annual reviews. And there's someone who cares what you do, and that level of care may differ depending on what circumstance you're in, but we care about our lives. And that's why I also encourage you to do this with someone, because it's really helpful to either hear what someone else is up to and to really listen to what they're working on and focusing on and connecting with, and then to be able to share that with someone. And that kind of gets someone on your team to really live this life that feels joyful and abundant and successful. So the two things that I suggested, the Wheel of Life and Life Book, are somewhat, take some more time and detail. I just want to offer a really easy one, is to take that list that you did last week of the places you've been, people who've impacted you, major purchases, values, like that whole list, or just write down like who are people you love, what are things that you like to do, how did you spend your time in the last week, and then just go through it and mark a triangle next to anything or anyone that you want more of. Like, I want more time with my best friend, I want more time traveling, I want more time resting, I want more time planning. Like, give yourself a sense of what you want more time for, and then put a square next to anything that you're pretty neutral about. Like, I have to do dishes, and I don't mind doing dishes. I'm not going to hire someone just to do dishes for half an hour every day. That's something I'm neutral about. That's for me. I actually do like doing dishes. But something neutral might be, I don't know, it's different for everyone, but just something that, you are, it's a part of life, like maybe going to visit a certain family member. It's part of life, you're neutral about it. And just acknowledge that even though you have to go every Thanksgiving or every, multiple times a year to visit family, because I did have you write, where do you return to multiple times? It might be listed or marked as a square because you're feeling neutral about it. And then next to the things that you want less of, do a circle. And these are pretty neutral things, like triangle, square, neutral, or circle, to just mark, like, where are you spending your time? And then when you go through it with that markings, you can see, where do you want to spend more time? Where do you want to spend less time? And where are you pretty neutral about, but you know that that's something that has to be done. And then as we're planning towards the end of the year, and just for yourself, you'll just know, like, let's plan for more of the things that we want more of, and really plan it. Like, put those trips in before you schedule in other things. Make dates with friends and loved ones that really light you up and support you. And then the things that you want less of, and the things that you're neutral, just see what could you delegate. And delegating is a sensitive topic for some people because we feel like we need to do it all and do it all ourselves. But I really encourage all of us to really consider like not just delegating and hiring out, because I think that might be an answer for some people, but also negotiating with people that you are either living with or in community with, coworkers. Like, how can you negotiate? Because sometimes people might not realize that this job needs to be done or this thing needs to happen, and just asking someone to do it, like they might be neutral about it. So it really helps us all. And then another thing I want to just add to this conversation of just measuring, right? So, there's tools to measure, there's reasons to measure, because it makes planning and living a really full and beautiful life means that we fill it with things and people and experiences that we love. I was just watching this interview with Glennon Doyle, and she was telling Reese Witherspoon that she was a blogger, and then she would have so much going on and so much emotional stuff that she needed to process, and she would like write about it like early in the morning in her closet, just like spend time writing about it. And then she said, someone's asking her like, how are you doing? And you really want to know what I'm doing, how I'm doing? And here's like these, long journal entries that feel so raging of how she's really doing. And she's like, this is how I'm really doing. And that's kind of how we are, not necessarily always in a rageful kind of thing, but we're much, much, much more complex than our response of fine or good or, whatever. Sometimes I'll even use great. But I'm really trying to develop, and I encourage you to expand your vocabulary of how you're doing. Maybe you could even use words like, in process of getting more of what I love, or like being a little bit more honest, not just for the other person's sake, because if you said fine and they're like, okay, great, and you said, I'm doing terrible, and they might say, okay, great. Like it's not about them and getting a response from them. It's really about us and being really authentic with who we are and how we are doing. So expand your vocabulary of how are you doing? And that comes from looking at our life and really noticing, how am I doing? Am I looking at this thing and saying, gosh, I am a 2 on more than half of these categories in my life, and that's not okay with me. And so how am I doing? I'm working on living a better, bigger, more satisfied life. Period. No one has to ask you more. I just want to be clear about how I'm doing. So be clear for yourself, and find a way that feels comfortable explaining to people how you're doing. And then lastly, for this week, I just encourage you to pause, measure, and choose one area in your life that you want to make some progress on in the rest of 2019. So it could be an area that feels really good and strong, and you're like, oh, I'm going to really bring that to a stronger finish. It could be an area that you feel not so strong in, not so satisfied, and maybe it's finances, and just maybe save $10 a week or $100 a week or whatever you're capable of right now, and just commit to that. And you'll see that in the next 8 weeks of the year, you can make some progress in that. It is not impossible to make a little bit of progress. And the reason why I want to do this is because we have time in 2019. If you made a resolution in January and you're like, oh, that I didn't get to do that. If that's what you want to make progress on, do it. If you're looking at these tools and you're like, oh, I'm not doing so great in my relationships, start calling. with people that you need to connect with. So just make some progress so you can finish the year strong. So that's all. If I have anything I want to add, I'm going to add that in the email and or the worksheet. If you have any feedback, I welcome it. And even just start posting. I did some posts today as I was doing my review of the year, and I also sent some texts and pictures to people who I was like, oh yeah, I visited that person, and it just went so fast. I actually, I just want to reconnect with them. It's been lovely for me, and I hope it is for you too. So let's finish this year strong. These last 60, best 60. It's week 2, so we have a bit, like just over 50 days left in the year. And I'm here for you. So if you want to email me anything, any questions, any thoughts, any lists that you're like, I don't know what to do about this, or get some insight, please do so. You can send it to Lourdes at lourdesparedes.com. Thank you.